Hey everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Mainstream Monday here on Horror Film Lovers. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I'm here with
John Ward.
John Ward, my special guest co-host, who's been doing
William
this.
Lee McMurray Conklin Ward.
Is that really your full name?
The McMurray is the second guy that my mom married. Conklin is her maiden name. And then Ward would be the first guy, my dad.
Crazy.
So
That's all.
John, yeah, how did I used to say it? John William Lee Conklin McMurray. No, it should be Ward McMurray, something like that. But I used to, yeah,
All
I
right.
used to say that.
John Ward. How you doing, John?
Plain and simple, good old JW.
JLW.
So
Um,
I'm fine.
s- so yeah, we're here to talk about Dead Silence, a film that James Wan did with Lee Winnell. So we should have done this earlier to kind of ease back, but whatever. It doesn't matter how we did it. To be honest, I liked Malignant better. This movie wasn't terrible. I liked it. It wasn't it just like it got a lot of flack in the box office, which kind of sucks because I could see this being a franchise. I guess that's what they wanted to do, but you know,
I don't know if this would make a good franchise. I think it'd make a good Conjuring spinoff if she was a Conjuring villain. Mary Shaw could
I
be
don't think
there
they
with the
can do that because I think it's two different companies. Because I think this is Universal, isn't it?
well, I happen to have the box right here. So
Oh,
and it is Universal. And this is
yeah.
the unrated version.
And Conjuring is Warner Brothers. And
Yeah.
I think I just watched the rated R version because I watched the one on Tubi. Because I have that in the studio somewhere. I couldn't find it. I got a billion movies and I could not go through, I was not going to go through them all yesterday. So I was like, well, I'll just rent it. And then I saw it was on Tubi for free and I was like, awesome, I'll get that. And I realized also Conjuring the Devil Made Me Do It is on Tubi. So apparently a lot of James's films are coming now on Tubi.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Well,
I
then,
think Conjuring, I'm not surprised because Warner Brothers once again is phasing out a lot of their library and they're putting the ones that didn't do very well or so into Conjuring the Devil Made Me Do It. I don't think is one of their most favorited, So they put it on Tubi, or whatever. And I think they're going to do that for a lot of films and stuff. They're just going to, license out their library. We talked
probably.
about this before.
Yeah.
I,
Um,
I don't necessarily like it because I like having everything on HBO Max, just simpler. But, I don't have to like look for it. I can be like, oh, it's a, Conjuring movie. It should be on HBO Max.
well, I guess we're gonna get for a while. I mean, it's gonna take a while to figure all this stuff out. I mean,
Yeah,
it's still new,
that's what the
so they're
writer strike is about. That's coming up. Or, well, it will come up if they don't agree to terms coming up because
that
writers
they
are
don't
not getting
make
paid
money
for
from
the
streaming.
new media stuff.
Yeah,
Well,
you can't predict what's in your future. So that's what happened with like Harlan Ellis with like the Terminator and all that. Is it was like I think they said like VHS and Laserdisc. I think that was it. Like TV, it would say based on the work spy,
hmm
but that's it in the contract. That's it. So Blu-ray, streaming,
4K, they can take that off
yeah,
if they
I don't
want.
think, yeah, they could probably remove it. So,
I don't know if they will or not because even though Harlan Ellison is dead, he might come back from the grave and like haunt them.
well, he might
I,
sue them from the grave because
yeah,
that's what he's
sue them
known. I
from the
think he's
grave.
think he's known more for suing than he is for his writing.
That's a
So,
good skit. They take that off and then he comes back from the grave and sues them.
Dead Silence 2 talks through the dummy. So,
Oh man. Um,
but
so
since I have this out, this is you should keep this. Yeah, I mean, if you can get it from your studio, because it is unrated and it does have. I didn't watch this stuff unfortunately, but it's deleted scenes, the making of Mary Shaw's Secrets, evolution of a visual effect, and more.
more. I wish he would do commentary. Him and Lee don't do commentary, which
Oh, and there's special fee also exclusive alternate ending and alternate beginning. Man, maybe I should have watched all this stuff.
alternate ending. It's probably on YouTube. You can probably look it up on YouTube at some point.
Yeah,
I did not. I did
and
not.
and
I did see the ending explained, and we'll get to that later.
I mean, I'm guessing. I mean, this is except for Saw, it was just Dead Silence and Death Sentence were the only two movies out at the time. So it's funny that they just, they're still going off the Saw thing, but I guess because Death Sentence and Dead Silence bombed at the box
Well,
office.
Death Sentence was after Dead Silence, right? Dead Silence was first.
Yeah, I think that's correct. Yeah.
So they couldn't have put Death Sentence on there. Plus,
Well,
they
they
wouldn't have done Death Sentence on there anyways. Yeah,
well
Death
then they would
Sentence
have put Dead Silence on Death Sentence, which they also wouldn't have done. So because it bombed.
yeah,
So which is unfortunate. And
from the director of Saw. That's pretty much
I
at
mean,
that time what he was the best known for anyway.
yeah, I mean, I'll just do this right now since we're talking about bombings. So the budget was 20 million and it made 22.4.
So it made
So that's
over its budget, but not by much.
no, but it's still a bomb because you have to make two times your budget
Right.
for it to make back its money. So yeah, it made 2 million over, but
I think
it's
I've
still a
talked
bomb.
about this before, but like I in Entourage there was a line in it about the fact that they were talking about Aquaman, and he said how much are they projecting, right? And he said 90 million, right? He goes, how much do we need? He goes 90 million. You get anything less than 90 million, it's a bomb, you know. And so I'm guessing that I don't know what that budget was for a James Cameron Aquaman movie. I would have imagined it'd be more, but they wanted
Well,
to do better
yeah,
than
and it would have taken like 10
Spider-Man.
years to make. But that was the big problem with Ant-Man 3 is, including the Super Bowl with the teaser trailer and that was $1 million right there.
Hmm.
So so if its budget was something like, yeah, like 50 million, it would have to make like a billion just to get, its money back. So it's yeah, it's you got to look at all this, and I think with with Lee and James that they were they were riding the high horse with the Saw movies. I'd have to look to see how many came out before these, maybe two, and
I think at
they
least three because
well look it up. So
let me
and
see.
and then all of a sudden they do Dead Silence and it tanks because maybe it's not Saw, and then they do Death Sentence, which is actually the sequel to Death Wish, book-wise at least it was, and that bombed.
There was four. The fourth one was made at this, like, came out at the same time that this came out. So there's three before this one of Saul's, but the
Okay.
fourth one came out in 2007, which is when this movie came out. And it's interesting to know, like, James and Lee did the first, James directed the first Saul, and that did really well, and kind of skyrocketed them to fame. Then they produced, and I don't know if Lee wrote the second one or so. I don't think
I
he
think
did.
he I think he wrote up to three, and then
Okay,
that's
so
when
yes,
the other
okay.
guys took over.
Yeah, so
So
Darren Lynn Bousman co-wrote the sequel, and he also
yeah,
directed.
because it's based off of his script. It wasn't a Saw script. It was a
Hmm.
one location house movie about people trapped in a house, and they made it into Saw 2.
And then Saw 3 was actually Lee who wrote it and co-storied with James Wan, and Darren directed it. So interesting. Like, it was a kind of a cool little thing. And there was a little puppet in Saw named Billy. And there's a little
Yeah,
puppet in this movie named Billy. They like the name Billy, apparently.
I guess. Yeah, yeah. As,
I
as
don't
I'm
know.
sure these.
I don't know why they did that. I don't know, like, if that was there was a if that was because you later see Billy, by the way. Did you catch that?
Wait,
The
what do you
the
mean?
Billy from Saw is in the cases at an hour and 10 minutes in.
No,
Well, yeah, yeah, it is.
I guess. Oh, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just
Oh
saying no.
yeah,
I didn't see it. No,
no. I
I
mean,
might have and just forgotten because I watched it last week.
oh, okay. Where does it say it? It's probably in the crap. Um,
Well, while you're looking that up, so yeah, so Dead Silence was first, and then Death Sentence. They were both 2007,
yep. During the
and
climax in the storage area with all 101 dolls, you can see Jigsaw's doll from the Saw films sitting on the floor, and
oh, okay,
Edgar
I didn't catch
Bergen's
that.
doll, Charlie McCarthy, on one of the shelves. The
Oh, that's
doll
funny.
that Detective Lipton throws over his shoulder in the scene is a replica of the ventriloquist Jimmy Nelson's doll, Danny O'Day.
Okay, all right.
I mean, I you know what this was like. I think James Wan and Lee Winnell were a fan of the movie Magic, you know, and they wanted to do their own ventriloquist killer doll movie, you know, with the twist, with their own, sort of twist. That's my
Yeah,
interpretation.
I
It's
mean,
not a type movie, but it's
I see it that they didn't want to do another Saw, and so what can we do that's not Saw? Well, let's do a ghost movie,
hmm
and I don't know if this if the legend or whatever it is correct, the urban legend, but if it actually is a real one or not. But
I don't think so. Um so beware the stare of Mary Shaw. She had no children, only dolls. And if you see her in your dreams, make sure you never ever scream. So that's the fairy tale rhyme. Um and of course Paul had to put some kind of cow one under when I posted it on Facebook.
oh jeez.
His one is be sure you don't, but if you do, be sure to give a big old moo.
Well, at least it
She'll soon
rhymes.
forget her plans and vows, because Mary Shaw's afraid of cows.
Oh jeez. Okay. Well, all right. I give him that. All right, that's good.
That is Paul's little cow little one. I don't think he's even seen this movie. He's just fucking with me. You know.
Right.
Um yeah,
Well,
he's
since we're not going to review it, Death Sentence. This is. I'm surprised this didn't kill their careers. Budget was 20 million. It only made 17.
no, 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 no. It did kill their careers. It literally did kill their careers for I don't know, until they did Insidious, right? 3 years later or whatever.
Which, yeah, those there were 2007, and then Insidious was 2010,
Right,
and then it's just been. But then it still took a few years at 2013 for Conjuring.
right.
But yeah, so I guess Insidious re kind of revamped their career there.
Well, see, from what I've understood, and this is what James Blum himself said in an interview where he was talking to a bunch of students, and he was talking about how what he liked to do, what Blumhouse wanted to do, was basically take people whose careers had kind of fallen on hard times, you know, and stuff, and just kind of revitalize their career, bring them back. And so when he saw James Wan and I think he loved Saw but I think he also actually liked, his other two movies that bombed, and thought they had a lot of talent, So he said, "Look, I'll let you guys make your next movie. You only have $1 million to make this, right? This next one, because obviously, like, you're sort of right now, I mean, right then and there, they were sort of in jail. They couldn't, nobody wanted to work with them. So he was giving them a way to potentially get themselves back on their feet, and it worked. Insidious was one of the biggest hits they ever had, like up to like with Saw, you know. So
Right.
um
Yeah, and now I wish people would go back and look at Dead Silence and Death Sentence. So they're both good movies. It's
well
just a shame.
Destin's just came out on 4K. So just got a 4K release, meaning that there is still some interest in it. I think it's more of like a cult movie now, more so than anything, Kind of like Mallrats. Mallrats didn't do bombed terribly. I think bombed worse than this movie did, you know, in the theater. And then it caught on video and DVD and whatnot. And I think this movie sort of did that too. It caught on DVD and movie, but it didn't matter because it already bombed in the box office, and Hollywood doesn't care about your DVD sales, and how well that does.
Well, someday, something bombs and it does really well, video wise, where there's a demand,
Yeah,
it
and then they
could,
bring it back maybe.
you
I
know,
know they did was a Fox canceled Firefly, and then they did Serenity because it was such a big hit on DVD, and people were like asking for it.
yeah. So I mean, sometimes, and maybe like a different network will pick it up,
I
or
don't,
something like that.
yeah, and it's funny. This was Universal, and so was Mallrats. That's funny. They both bombed and did really well. Like it just goes to show you, like sometimes with Universal films, some movies don't necessarily, but if they'll make like four fucking Jaws movies, why not? Those. I don't think Jaws 4 did or 3 did very well. I'd say 3 because 4 did never got a sequel. You know.
Which is very sad.
Well, I mean,
Very
I know
sad.
you love Jaws 4. Um,
It's because it's so bad. I like
I
it.
know. I would love
It's
if they did Jaws 5. I know people are like, "Oh my God, that's blasphemous to say no more Jaws movies being made." But bring back the the girl who was the little gr dot the granddaughter to the Lorraine Gary's character. Anyway, the little blonde girl or whatever. I think she was blonde.
oh, from Jaws 5
Yeah, and from Jaws 4, yeah.
or Jaws
Have
4.
her character as an older character now. The actress who played her passed or died, not passed away, died. Like that was like murdered. I don't know if you know that story, but her dad
No.
like killed her and her mother because they were famous. Like they were like too much money and some other shit, and he wasn't getting what I don't know. He was Russian. There's a lot of problems. She was also in like
Wow.
yeah, it's insane. Look it up. It's incredibly crazy. But so she's no longer with us, but it would be great if somebody, you know, played her as an adult and she's out back. She wants to go back to Amity and and study, I don't know, the ocean life and stuff and ends up getting attacked by another shark because she's a
Well,
Brody.
that's what Christopher Guest does in Jaws
Yeah,
4.
yeah. So she takes over her dad's business, and
It would never be. They would just remake it. I mean, they would just remake Jaws and just make it all CGI. So
well, I mean, I
they would
know,
never
but
do a part 5.
why not? Why? I mean, nobody wants to see a remake because then we're just seeing
And
the
nobody
same
wants to see a
story.
part 5.
I want to see a part 5. I'm sorry, you can't
If they
say
stuck with
nobody,
the book,
Uh,
the movie's not the book.
right?
The idea of guys going, shark killing people, and then guys going out to capture shark and stuff, that okay, that's in there, but the characters are very different. So like
I want
Brody's
to.
really
I,
fat, and and his wife's having an affair with Hooper. So it's a very different thing. So
Yeah, but see, I don't think a lot of that would be interesting to people now. I think people wouldn't get it. They would just think you're just pissing on Jaws.
I
You
I,
know?
I think if you're going to remake something and it's based on a book, do the book. Then
Yeah.
that way people can't complain. I mean, if they
Then it's
maybe
a
if they
little
re
different, yeah. Um,
so if they did that, I mean that's why I don't think like for something like Saw, I don't think that we'll ever have like a straight remake. It's always going to be that kind of requel,
yeah.
always moving forward. They're always going to mention something from the original Saw, just like Scream. Scream will always be a
Well, why don't
requel.
we
I
have a
mean,
requel for Jaws?
for what?
Jaws have a requel.
Yeah, but then you would have to ignore everything. Like they would only use parts 1 and 2.
Right. They don't use part one. They make it part two. That's how they do it with all the Halloween shit and stuff, you know? They just ignore all of part whatever actually happened in part two and whatever. We're getting way off topic, but
Yeah,
I'm
because
like
I don't even understand how this would even work with the way that you're talking about it.
I think it would be interesting. It just wouldn't be. I mean, Lorraine Gary's still alive. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but I mean, you would have to include. I mean,
Michael and
they already removed Jaws 3 because the job of the kids are now different,
right.
and so you would have to go 1, 2, 4, and nobody wants part 4. They don't like part 4,
Why would you have to go four?
huh?
Why don't you skip three and four?
Because you said the daughter from part 4, the
Well, no, I'm
granddaughter.
saying if we did a requel, it wouldn't have that. Never mind. It's a completely different idea for that. If you wanted to go with
It would.
requel,
I honestly think it's a horrible idea.
yeah.
Horrible. Yeah,
All
I
right,
just
moving on.
no,
Moving
no.
on. Um,
And
going.
I don't think that they could do a sequel to Dead Silence either.
I don't think like as much as I would love one. I don't think they'd ever do one, and it's the same thing as you were saying, Malignant bombing or whatever. They'll just never make a sequel to Malignant because it just didn't do well enough, you know. And it kind of sucks because I'm sure they always have sort of ideas for
Well, you would have
potential
to
sequels.
do. You couldn't look at box office with it because I think yeah, when I looked at box office, yeah, it did not do well. So you'd have to look at views on Warner Brothers, and then on HBO Max, and then see what the views were. James Wan would not direct it; he would probably hand it over to somebody, and it would probably be a smaller movie.
Yeah,
Maybe
or a
go direct
series,
to HBO Max.
or a series that could be kind of cool.
Ooh, I don't even know where they would go with that.
Why not? I mean, there's always ways to do series, you know. I
Well,
swear
what
you can stretch anything out.
it's a new person with a new parasite with a new,
And there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of people with the same disease,
but
and
not.
they all communicate with each other.
There's somebody knocking at my door, and I don't know why. Should I
For,
should I go should I go see who it is?
mm,
We don't have to pause. I'll just get
this
up and go
is
see.
this is a horror film in the works right now, buddy.
Want me to go look?
Just go ask.
Let's go. Yeah, I'll be right back.
But she could take me with you.
I should even know.
All right, folks. Well, while he's handling that,
Oh, you didn't have to do that.
oh, something's going on over there.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
That was really something very sweet happened. We're gonna find out in a few seconds.
I really appreciate that. You're a good man. Thank you.
Somebody is a good man.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
So I'll come back and explain what happened here.
All right.
So wow. So I'm glad I answered that. So
I was
here's
just
that.
what? Ooh, was that?
It's a $25 gift card. To I
This is
think
just, it looks
he.
like a Visa, just a credit card.
Where is this to?
It's not to anything. It looks like it's just a Visa.
Oh. So it's just a Visa card that I could use on anything.
Yep.
Okay.
Movies.
So, my eyes light up.
The dead
So I'll
silence
make
or
yeah.
4K. There you go.
So I'll make this fast. What it is that I have all my packages go to work because half the time my packages get stolen. If they're left outside my front door, they get stolen. If they get delivered to somebody else's apartment, luckily what UPS does is they take a picture and you can kind of figure out where it goes. So yesterday, UPS was working on Easter on a Sunday, and they didn't even knock. They just put two packages by my door, and I opened it, and there's these packages. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? And so today, I took them to work with me, and then when I got home, I found the guy's apartment, and I went over and I said, "Hey, man, is this you? Or are these your packages?"
Oh,
And he's like, "Yes, I've been calling for 2 hours about this stuff." And he was trying to find my apartment yesterday because it's a blue door, but there's so many blue doors.
right.
And I just always look for, if it happens to me, I just look for apartment 21, and I just look at that's the only number I look at, because these guys are idiots. They don't, or women, I guess both can work, but yeah, that's it. And he was really thankful, and
Came over and gave you $25 for it. No,
so he tracked me down and found my apartment and gave me this.
it pays to be a
So
good
there,
Samaritan.
yeah, because what am I gonna? He told me that it was like a little envelope type of thing that was for his wife, and
Hmm.
then it was a big box, and he goes, "Those are my boots,"
Your boot,
and
his
it's like,
boots.
what am I gonna do with something like something for his wife and
Yeah, and boots.
his?
But anyway, you wouldn't have done that anyway. You wouldn't have been like, well,
Yeah,
these are mine now. 'Cause that's
yeah,
fucked up.
suckers. Yeah, no, that's horrible to do to people. It is, so you need to find out where they went. So
Yeah, so I'm glad you found it out and you got it to him, and he's just really happy somebody returned them to
yeah,
him. So there you go. You know what, my Amazon people or so, or UPS, they tend to mix up our, because there's one road, right, my road, and then there's court that's right next to us, and we both have like the same numbers and stuff. So sometimes, we get the courts, stuff or whatever. Sometimes we get the ones that are supposed to be right next. Like, I guess they have them like next and they just don't pay attention. They're just like, oh, I'm just gonna put them here, even though it says, you know, one something other or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it gives
yeah,
another number and it's not the right, whatever. Yeah, it's
yeah. My complex is massive. It's like the company took over like four different companies, and so it's like if I order a pizza,
hmm.
the person always calls me. I can't find your apartment. I've gone to like 321s,
Why
and I
don't
can't
you
find you.
do you ever like call them, or do you ever like say, like when I do DoorDash, a lot of times I'll say, if I'm somewhere specific, like I'll meet you out front or something,
Well,
like
I say call me. I give my
okay,
cell number, and I write down in like the little box, like the little message box. I say drive all the way to the back,
okay,
and then I put my phone number if there's a problem. And then if they call, I go outside and I'm like, I'm waving. Are you seeing like a guy waving at you? And they're like,
yeah,
oh yeah, there you are. So, but no, but that was very awesome. I was not expecting that at all. So
yeah.
it's just the right thing to
Sometimes
do,
it's good to answer those. What time is it now? 7:30 at night.
Yeah,
Fucking
yeah.
messages.
Well, when I
Just
first moved in here, people were looking for drugs because I guess a drug dealer lived here. And I went, well, that makes sense since it looks like my door has been kicked in.
right.
So it's like all redone with all new screws, and you could tell like somebody kicked in the door or something. So it's, but I don't get that much. But no, that's I helped the guy out at work the other day with renting out a storage unit and stuff, and it ended up being a problem. And he gave me a $20 tip.
Nice.
So yeah, put that right into the bank.
Now
So
you
there
got
you go.
25 more dollars that you can go to movies.
Yeah, I could go. Yeah, I could go to. Yeah,
Yeah, we got some sales going on right now, buddy. You could that's
I
God giving you
know.
that money. You don't believe in God. That's God giving you that money right there.
Well, I actually was a very nice gentleman who gave me the money. So
Not literally. Like, I don't think that guy's God.
he could be. You never know.
Well, if you don't believe him, then he's not. See, there you go.
Never know.
Moving
Never
on.
know.
So, yeah, back to Dead Silence, the movie we're supposed to be talking about that I don't think we barely talked about. So
this is the only the second time I've ever left this chair doing one of these. This one, and then I did one for one filmmaker where I got up and went to go grab a DVD.
uh, so
Second time.
this this movie starts basically with this couple, very sweet, loving couple. Um, one girl, the guy is like is a fix-it guy fixing what's the sink, I think, you know, and doing his work, and they get a knock on the door, just like that. Maybe, oh Jesus, I didn't even think about it. What if it was, what if it was Billy being
Well,
left?
it's her husband.
Yeah, husband. Yes.
Yeah,
Did I
yeah.
say
So yeah,
boyfriend? Okay, I meant husband.
yeah, it's her husband. She's pregnant.
Well,
She looks like Mia Farrow
he
from
doesn't know
Rosemary's
that,
Baby.
does he? Does he know that? Because I thought that was the big twist at the end, was that she was pregnant.
She, I think, was going to tell him.
Right.
Yeah,
She
I think
hadn't
she was
told
going to
him yet.
tell him.
He didn't
Yeah.
know. So they get a knock on the door, they answer it, and it's a big box that's just left. So they bring it in, of course, which my first thought is 2007. Are they afraid of like the Unabomber or something? Like I would not, I'd be like,
Might
there's
be Al
no,
Qaeda in there.
I know, like, but I don't know if I trust a big box, with no return address,
Well,
or
he just
whatever.
opens it too. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
he just
he has
opens
no
it. They're like, oh, it's Christmas.
yeah, they're being very trustworthy.
They are. They must be Canadians. So hey, Canadians are very trusting. That's not a slur or anything. I love my Canadian friends, and they're all very, very sweet and trusting people. Just saying.
How many Canadian friends do you have?
Oh, you don't want to know. I have a lot.
That's
I
not a
can't
number.
even count, literally. Like I do have a lot. You know what? If it weren't cold up there, I'd move to Canada because it is beautiful, but it is cold, and I don't like cold.
I did enjoy Scott Pilgrim, so yes, and
That's
he did verse the world and save it too.
I love Are You Afraid of the Dark? I love Supernatural. Most of the CW stuff is filmed in Canada. You know, so yeah. So anyway, David Dakota, Canadian.
Okay.
I don't understand. Anyway, moving on. So they opened up the package. They find this doll, and she all of a sudden says the Mary Shaw thing, which I don't think the doll would have like made her instantly think about that. I think that was just like for us, the audience, but like, because she starts saying the nursery rhyme, right? That it reminds me of the rhymes that our parents used to tell us when we were kids. And I'm like, but after hearing it, it's beware the stare of Mary Shaw. She had no children, only dolls. Like, I wouldn't have just saw a ventriloquist doll and think that, you know, like from an old,
I
like
would think that the box went to the wrong apartment. I would open it and be like, "Oh, look, this isn't for us," and then just go start knocking on doors.
here, have this doll. It's gonna
Yes,
it's
and
gonna murder
then
you,
it would
but
go to another apartment, and then that person would come back with a $25 gift card because they were so nice to give them the doll.
well, maybe, but they were the person who was supposed to have the doll. You know, would have been like your reverse thing if like they brought it back. Go, no, this doll says it's for you.
Yeah,
Mm,
I think that they're a little too accepting of the doll at first. I
yeah,
think that it's yeah. I mean, they open it way too fast. I would think, I mean, if I would really think any package that showed up at the door that you're not
I mean,
expecting, you would
why
probably
would
think
you
it
even keep
went to
it?
the wrong
Like,
door.
yeah, why wouldn't you just like go, you know what? Let's just throw this out. Put it in
Well,
like
and apparently James Wan has a thing for creepy dolls, so it's because it wasn't like it was a nice looking doll, like you
yeah,
would
I
just
mean, because we
buy at
know
a store.
Annabelle was the real Annabelle, the real.
Right. Yeah, it was
And
a
it looks so
Raggedy
creepy
Andy
with
or
Billy's
Raggedy Ann
eyes just like above my head right there.
just staring at you, just
Just
staring.
stare. He doesn't like me talking mad about him and stuff.
Well,
So
she doesn't either because she's looking straight down at you.
I know she's like, you are a jerk. Um, but anyway, so yeah, so the doll um so anyway, the doll ends up going to or staying there, and then the girl ends up seeing a bunch of shit. Now the cool thing I really loved, like it slowing down with time and silencing, just dead silence, right? And everything kind of like slowing down, like all of a sudden the music starts, but then it goes
Yeah, that was cool.
everything. Yeah, all that stuff starts happening. She's kind of freaked out, and then the doll
Well,
kills
you
her.
you did leave out something. Her husband went to get Chinese food.
Yes, that's right. So her husband,
Yeah,
and she was gonna play a joke on him where she was gonna keep the doll under a blanket. I guess the doll didn't like that. I don't know. Billy wasn't happy being under a blanket. Plus, I mean, Billy was there for one reason, to kill her, because she's her family. But we don't know any of that. We, you know,
we all we know is that the doll is there, and then it ends up killing her, but not him.
right.
In
Which
in a very violent way that would most likely kill her baby from the way
exactly.
that she hit the ground from Billy throwing her, like
Hmm.
that. So,
Yep.
but it's yeah, because it's I thought that I like that whole well. I like the whole opening, and then I like the credits. I thought the credits were really cool because showing like the making of the doll,
Hmm.
and but yeah, they have the doll. It's still in the box. The husband goes out to get the food. He's gone for a while because it's raining, and then she's messing with the doll. Yeah, like you said, she decides to play the trick. She puts it in the bed, sitting up with the blanket on it, and then that's when it starts doing its Annabelle thing, where it kind of moves this way and moves that way, and
The
is
eyes
here, and then
move like this
yeah,
way or whatever,
the
which I thought
eyes are
was pretty
always
cool.
moving.
Which I thought
Yeah,
was pretty cool because that is a trick ventriloquist thing, having the eyes move or whatever a little bit. So, I thought that was pretty cool. So then he kills her, and I mean, when she gets pulled back in, that that shot is just fantastic. I was just like, ah, like I want this on 4K someday. Like I'm gonna definitely buy this on 4K because the colors, there's a lot of reds, kind of very giallo. Um, there's tons of just different vivid colors and other things. And when in darks, which looks great on HDR, um, but um, when
yeah, it's
she
visually
like
a beautiful film. Yeah.
yeah, which I mean, I'm not surprised as James Wan, but it is his technically his second directorial feature, Like he had produced the Saw sequels, but he didn't direct any of them. So this was his second movie, and Saw 1 was honestly, I don't looking back, we're gonna do Saw eventually. Um I think this year. But from what I remember, there wasn't really that many cool shots. Now, I could be wrong, you know, but like I think he got better and better as you know, and this definitely shows a really good he's got really good technique.
Well, it's more fantasy, so he could do kind of whatever he wants with the colors. There's nothing in this that's really reality.
Yeah. So she dies, and then he comes back in and hears her voice because that's what Billy can do. He can mimic, you know. And so she's, we're or if you want to say Mary's the one controlling him, or his spirit. So maybe she's the one mimicking. He comes in and sees her sees her under the blanket or whatever, pulls her out, and and sees her, basically her tongue is ripped out, and stuff because she screamed.
All
So that's
messed
what
up.
happens
Yeah.
when you scream. So he all of a sudden, like my one of my favorite shots is the ones where they're inside the eye, and it goes through the
Oh yeah.
eye and everything. Just thought, man, and it reminded me of Malignant, because Malignant had that crazy stuff happening with the after the girl screamed or whatever, and then we kind of like go through people's eyes and stuff. Like, I just think that's really cool. Like, that's a really neat little, and it almost feels like a Hitchcock kind of thing, even though I
Well,
don't.
he's always been good at transitions.
Yeah.
So that's yeah.
So we see him get talked to the detective, played by new kid on the block, Donnie Wahlberg.
Enter Donnie Wahlberg, who just left the set from Saw 2 and 3.
Oh, really? So okay. So they worked with them and decided to let him
Yeah,
do that.
he's the detective where I think in part 2 it's more about him, and then in part 3 he's above that piece of ice, that big block of ice. So
Okay.
it's not, he's still there. It's like a 3 is like a direct continuation. So it's yeah, I'm looking forward to the Saw movies. I haven't seen them in a while. So
Yeah, I haven't either. I've watched the first one. I don't even know if I've watched many of the sequels, so it'll be almost fresh for me.
I
I do
saw
know
all
the
of them
first
in the theater when they
first
came
one
out.
is fantastic. But I just didn't. I don't know. There's something about torture porn that doesn't, and I don't like that phrase, but
I
like,
hate that.
you hate that phrase.
One friggin' critic thought up the name torture porn. One critic, and it
Some of
was
it
actually
does feel like
towards
that, like the
Hostel,
Hostel movies feel like
but it
torture
was
porn.
aimed at Hostel. That's it.
Right.
Wasn't Saw. It was Hostel. But then everything got labeled torture porn. The
Yeah.
original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is now torture porn. Everything is now torture porn, and it's not. It's just
And the
it's
original
not.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the newest one is definitely not torture porn, I don't think. And new one is politically correct bullshit. You know, we, we've already talked about that at some point.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
stuff I fucking hate. Ugh. Ah.
I think that it's people who call films torture porn don't know movies. They don't understand films.
Paul
They
calls them all
don't.
that time, and then that's why Paul hates, like, just hates when people are torturing people who don't really deserve it. But I'm like, sort of the point, I think, because these are
But it's
people,
not
these are
porn.
victims,
It's not torture porn.
Yeah. There's no, I
Because
mean,
then you could label anything torture porn. Okay, Jaws is torture porn because Jaws is eating people, and they're people who shouldn't have been eaten. Therefore, Jaws is torture porn.
okay, that's whatever.
You
Mm.
know, it's I hate that. I hate that
Okay,
phrase.
so,
Yeah.
he's talking to the new kid on the block, Donnie Wahlberg. Um, and they're having their little thing going there. And basically Donnie's looking at him like, you're the prime suspect,
Well,
because
the husband is always the first, first
yeah,
person to get.
I
Yeah.
mean, even though and I'm sure there are people who have killed their wives and then called the police and said somebody came in here and killed my wife, so I'm sure he gets that a lot. He said he arrested a bunch of husbands he's never arrested a doll.
Well, that's William Shatner when his, because this is like right after OJ, not I think like maybe like a year or something after OJ, is Shatner's wife drowned in the pool, and the first thing he did was call 911 to say I didn't do it because he was so paranoid that he would be accused and go to jail for something he didn't do.
No,
So
I
yeah,
didn't know about that. That's interesting.
yeah.
Um, Shatner's awesome, you know. I'm sorry that his wife died. Um, but
But but yeah, I mean, Wahlberg thinks that he did it, and everything kind of in a way kind of aims at that because he's always around.
yep. And then he has to take the body back home. And he also, I think, at the same time wants to get some answers, you know. He has to, he doesn't take the body home, but the body's gonna be taken to the
Yeah,
after the
it's
police have done their investigation, I guess, or whatever.
yeah. Then it goes to the morgue
The
and
morgue with Henry,
the funeral home, yeah, and all that type of stuff. So
which we meet in a few minutes. But then they was it then they go to he goes home back home, sees his new stepmom, who knows who he is instantly, I'm guessing. I was guessing pictures, but we found more information out later. So we'll get
right.
into that.
Well, and the town just looked awesome. I love that whole abandoned town that was just like the one guy at the bus stop just reading the paper, and
Well,
that town looked great.
what somebody was saying in the I was watching the like ending explained, and they were going through the whole movie a little bit, and they were saying that the towns all boarded up and stuff looked like it was because they were all cursed, you know, and that's what he got from that, which I think was
Well,
pretty cool.
that's yeah, that's what I assume. It's her curse, and that's
The whole town
the
has been cursed by, yeah, this
yeah. So
crazy,
people have moved out or have died or whatever it is.
mostly died, I think, because there's a lot of townspeople. But anyway, this is a great way to do those. Like there are so many movies where it's about a curse on a town because somebody died, and then like by a mob of people, and all of a sudden it's like their ancestors that are dying. But this is like the better way to do it. Like this is the more mainstream way, in my opinion. And he does it really well. Kind of takes a lot of those tropes, you know. Um, but
Sure.
so he comes back home, meets his new stepmom. She's pretty. I liked her. Thought she
Yeah,
was
she was
very
hot.
cute.
Yeah.
And she seemed very nice, even though we find out later. But so she basically he talks to his dad. His dad's now in a wheelchair. And because he had a stroke, and so the new wife's been taking care of him, and so he goes home, or goes not goes home, goes to I guess first off was Henry, right? He goes to Henry's to see him, to see at the
Yeah,
morgue.
and yeah, we find out what's happening with the yeah, with the deceased wife, and then Henry gives us a lot of backstory.
Actually, Henry doesn't give us the backstory till later. Um, but
Well, you got to be fast. You got to be fast. You got
I
to
don't know. Yeah.
so what happens? No, you can't be thinking about it.
I sorry, I have to think about it because even though
You just saw the movie
I
like two
just
hours
saw it, but
ago.
my brain is not. I've told you this before. My brain doesn't. I've lost a lot of brain cells in life, I guess, or something. So I can't fucking remember shit. But I do remember that. Yeah, he met with Henry. Henry said that the body was going to be sent to him. The wife was going on about some stuff, and uh, he was trying to get the answers from the wife. Even at the funeral and stuff.
Well, the wife is yeah, the wife's like
The
talking to somebody, and
Yeah, she's talking to somebody, and then she keeps mentioning, she knows like what's going on or whatever, and he's like, "Tell me what's," like, and Henry keeps kind of taking the wife away, like, she's just going, she's just a little senile or whatever. Come over here, honey. She doesn't know what she's talking about. So, and then we find out later that the detective is following him. It's kind of showed up because he was told to bury the doll, right? So he goes to bury the doll inside um like I guess the casket that the Billy's supposed to be at. or whatever, and at least Billy's supposed to be. And unfortunately,
Are you saying the cemetery?
yeah, in the cemetery.
Okay.
So remember, he's supposed to bury the doll in the cemetery.
Right,
So
right. But you
the
got to let
the
people know it's in a cemetery, though. You got to,
all right, well,
because they he could be burying him in a
if
field
they're
of
listening
corn.
to this and they haven't seen the movie, then I don't know why they're watching this.
Probably a lot of people haven't seen this movie.
If you haven't seen this movie, you should watch it. I mean, we're telling you the story right now. Go watch it and then come back, and you'll know everything that's going on. So
I mean,
anyway, yes.
what I got here is returning to Raven's fair. Now an old and run down, Jamie visits his estranged, wealthy, wheelchair using father Edward and his much younger wife Ella for information regarding Mary Shaw. Dismissing the information he does receive as superstitions, Jamie arranges for Lisa's funeral with the help of the local mortician named Henry. Henry's senile wife, Morin, I think it's Morin, warns Jamie that Mary Shelley's spirit is dangerous and urges him to bury Billy. So that's where we're at right now. Jamie does so, but is confronted by the detective Lipton. Apparently, he's an Ice-T who followed Jamie and
Maybe you
finds
should
his
have been
action.
played by Ice-T. Wouldn't that been
Okay.
funny?
Oh,
Come on.
jeez.
Come on. Detective, that should have been Ice-T's name on SVU. Detective Lipton. I would have loved that. Oh man, that's a fail right there.
You're
Oh,
stupid. Stupid. Stupid.
oh.
I made a bad joke one day. This is like decades ago, and this girl goes, "You're so stupid," and I'm like, "What the fuck? Why did you just call me stupid?" I'm like, "What?" And she goes, "No, no, 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 no. It means like," and she explained to me because that's what stupid was being used as a in a different way, but I didn't know that stupid was being used in a different way because it was brand new. So I was like, "What the fuck? Why are you calling me stupid?"
So she slang splained you.
Yes, and
Instead
now,
of
now and
mansplained, she slang splained you.
sane explained.
Yeah, she explained to you what that slang word was.
Oh, slang. Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. Yeah, so Henry explains to Jamie that Mary Shaw was a famous and popular ventriloquist who was publicly humiliated when a young boy named Michael rudely claimed that he could see her lips moving when one of her performs. Great scene, by the way. I really liked that scene. You
Yeah.
know, like I liked all the stuff. I actually would have loved a whole movie with that whole backstory. Like I would have loved a movie about a theater group, and these people, like if they had just made that movie, I would have watched it. It would have been like watching like Nightmare Alley or some shit, you
Well,
know.
and I like how the doll kind of freaks out. Like you don't really know if it's her or if it's the doll.
Yeah, and then that was like the thing where she like because he was like, hey, that's not a real doll. I can see the lips moving, and then his eyes just turned to him, and he's like, and then like all of a sudden they start talking to each other, and at one point it looked like they overlapped, so it almost felt like there was two people there.
Yeah, and the audience cheered.
Yeah, audience cheered to that because they were just like, "Holy shit, that's you!" She did such a great job, and then and he was like, "Who's the dummy now?" You
I
know.
and that kid deserved what he got. So he was a little shit, and he probably grew up to be a big shit. So
Yeah. Well, so some weeks later, Michael disappeared, and his family blamed it on Mary and lynched her. So we got that happening. Mary's last wish was to have her body turned into a doll. Have you uh have you ever wanted to be a doll? You're probably I have a feeling you're gonna want to be cremated when you're buried. Or do
oh
you
well,
want to
it's
be
cheaper that way. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
yeah, just be cremated. Yeah.
To a doll and buried with her 101 dolls. Jesus Christ, that's a lot. Who she called her children. So that's where she had no children, only dolls. Henry, then still a child, saw Shaw after she was turned into a dummy rise up, but was spared thanks to his silence, because Mary takes her revenge by killing those who scream. Jamie finds out that Michael, who actually was murdered by Mary Shaw, was his great uncle. So great uncle. I think you said that earlier or whatever, but you weren't sure if it was great uncle or whatnot. As part of Mary's lynching, the Ashton family forced her to scream and permanently silenced her by cutting her tongue out. As such, she has since been seeking revenge against their entire bloodline and all those in Raven's Fair by killing them using the same method.
There you
So,
go.
um, Mary Shaw kills Henry, and Detective Lipton discovers that all of Mary Shaw's have been dug up. He informs Jamie and is just about to arrest him, still suspect him, when Jamie receives a call from Henry asking him to go to. Wait, did I skip something?
No.
Kind of, I mean, they kind of, I guess, yeah, I mean, they're doing it a little bit quicker than we are. Um, Asking him to go to Shaw's old theater to prove his innocence, and Jamie convinces Lipton to comply. At the ruined theater, Jamie and Lipton discover 100 of the dolls in their massive display case, along with Michael's body, which has been turned into a marionette. Mary's ghost appears to them and reveals to Jamie that she killed Lisa because, unbeknownst to him, she was. Oh man, that scene, by the way, that was one of the best, creepiest scenes I've seen in a long freaking time. When she's like sort of controlling the one doll, you know, and he is like, "Is that you, Mary?" And she's like, "Ooh, good call," right? And so he's talking to her, and he's like, "Why did you kill my wife?" Right? And she's like, "Come closer, I'll tell you." And the whole time I'm going, "No, no, 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 no. That's a
Yeah,
big horror no
because
no."
because by this point Lipton has now seen everything. He
Right. And
originally believed that the husband killed everybody that Jamie killed, and then now he's seeing what
things,
Jamie's been talking about. Yeah.
And
So
he's
now
like, and he even said, "Nope, don't do it.
and
Don't go
that
over there."
set is great. I love when the destroyed city or the like the abandoned town, and then when they get out to that area where like the theater, it has like a moat,
Yeah, so you have to
and
travel by boat to get to it.
yeah, and it's just the atmosphere and everything was awesome, and just how it was all destroyed inside and abandoned, and that just the film is just it's really well done. I mean, it
Yeah.
really is, which is a shame that more people
So she says,
haven't
"Come,
seen it.
come closer, and I'll whisper it to you." And once again, I'm like going, "No, no, nope, don't do it." This is a horror no no, and he does, and of course, because in his mind he just wants to get the answers, from her,
Sure.
and she says that his, you know, it didn't end with just him; it was in his bloodline with his kid too. So
Yeah,
she was
the
pregnant with the
unborn.
kid.
Yeah.
So we talked about that. So I thought that was
Which yeah, which he didn't know about, which then I thought about, which is so since the villain is not dead, if he gets together with somebody else and gets her pregnant, that kid will probably be dead too. Same thing with the second wife.
yep,
So it's just going to keep going.
yep. Uh let's see, which has been turned into a marionette. Mary's ghost appears to tell them that and reveals to Jamie that she killed Lisa because, unbeknownst to him, she was pregnant with his child, thereby killing any potential newborn of the Ashton family. Jamie and Lipton burn the theater and all of Shaw's dolls, but while they escape, Lipton trips and ends up screaming, sealing his fate. That was cool. He fell, and then he screamed as he fell, and he just killed him. Like, he swept him and then killed him, and like he fell down. I was like, oh man, that was pretty cool. You know, like
Yeah,
All of
I
that
liked
stuff
his
was great.
death. Yeah.
Uh so it doesn't say, but he does go back to Henry's place, finds out from the uh wife that the that Jamie's father took the doll. He's like, he's been wheelchair bound. There's no way he could even come here. And she was like, he took the doll, like, right? So he decides to go to his house. Back at his father's residence, Jamie is confronted by Mary, but repels her by throwing Billy into the fireplace because he finds Billy. He learns, much to his horror, that his father actually died long ago. The current Edward is actually a doll converted from his corpse, controlled by Ella, who is the perfect doll that Mary Shaw created just before her death. Jamie screams in terror as Ella becomes possessed by Mary and kills him. Jamie, now a puppet, recites a nursery rhyme about Shaw while a photo album with other human puppets is shown. Lisa, Henry, Lipton, Edward, Ella, and Jamie himself. Mary closes the book, finally completing her revenge.
Okay. So I guess
That's
that's
this.
it's done.
Yeah. So that was the story of it, and
Yeah, yeah.
everything.
So
And
so he wouldn't be able to have like another wife and all that stuff. So I guess because he died.
yeah, and I guess because he completed it, I guess there really shouldn't be a sequel. I mean, I don't, unless she just starts killing for fun, because the whole point of this was the revenge on the family, not, which I guess that's a vengeful ghost, a vengeful spirit, you know.
I mean, if she was like in The Conjuring or something and had her own movie, they could just do a period piece,
Right.
go back to like the town's thriving and and how it gets
I
destroyed. But
would love that, but unfortunately, it won't ever be able to be made.
nope, nope, nope,
Sad.
nope, 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 nope. But I really like this when I rewatched it. I think this might be my third time watching it. I think I saw it like years ago, once or twice, and I still think it holds up, and I really like it. There's some bad CGI, like at the end, the CGI is not the best,
Oh, like with
but
the heads coming out and stuff like that,
yeah,
or it
yeah,
I overlook that because A, it's 2007. If it'd been done today, I think it could look better, you know. Plus, I
not if
mean,
Disney did it.
what do you mean?
Their CGI looks like shit.
Well, I blame well, I don't know.
Blame Kevin Feige for that one.
No, I blame the chick who got fired, Victoria Alonso. She was in charge of all the CGI.
Feige was her boss.
Right, but I mean, yeah, it's only so much you can give if you're given a budget.
Remember,
There's only so much you could do.
blame
And
Kathleen Kennedy for everything, so you got to blame Feige.
I know, but I actually like a lot of what Kevin Feige does. I do not like anything Kathleen Kennedy does. I think she's a
I'll make
terrible.
this fast so we don't get off target too much. But it's he needs to resign because he saved something and now he's destroying it. So at some point he has to leave. Just like I said, I'll make this really fast. Doctor Who back in the day with the third Doctor, the ratings were down, and they went into the fourth Doctor, and his ratings were down. And then they brought in a guy named John Nathan Turner who revitalized the entire show. And it was massive after that. But 20 years later, he was destroying the show. He'd been there too long. They needed somebody new to come in and give it new breath. And that's when they decided to just kind of cancel it. And then a new producer came in, and then it became huge again. So he was good for what he did. And if he left, what are we on now? Phase 5?
Phase 5, yeah.
So if he left after phase 3, I think he probably would have gone down in history as one of like the greatest producers
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah. Oh man, that kind of sucks. Well, I think that's why he doesn't want to leave right now, because he doesn't want to end on a bad note. Um, but whatever. It ain't my problem. I ain't in control of that shit.
Nope,
I'm in
nope, nope.
control of watching these movies, and that's it.
That's
Um,
pretty much it. So
yeah,
yeah,
that's pretty
I
much it.
really liked the film. Yeah.
I dug it. I thought it was really cool. I thought there was some, like I said, like some amazing shots. There were some like transitions you were saying, like where you see the town sign and then you see the bridge or whatever, and then you go into it, and then all of a sudden you're in the bridge, or whatever. Like, I just think stuff like that. I always have loved, things like that. And like Orson Welles did a lot of that with Citizen Kane, and stuff. So you look back and this isn't necessarily new, but like not a lot of people are still doing this stuff, and it's really cool to see it, you know. And I believe it's because James Wan has a vision when he buys or he's directing the movie. He looks at the scripts and he says, "What can um, what can I do with each scene to make it cool, like to make it look good." And plus, all the actors are fantastic. You know, I don't know the main guy much. Ryan
He
Quanten,
looks like what's his face, the lead actor from Saw.
is he?
No, he looks like him. He's not him, but he looks like him.
Okay.
Carrie Ives.
Oh, Carrie Elwes. Yeah.
Yeah, looks like him.
Uh, yeah, he does a little bit like a younger Carrie Elwes. Um, but yeah, apparently he was in True Blood. That was his big claim to fame. So that's why he's Jason Stackhouse in True Blood, which is a show I watched a few episodes of. I didn't get into as much, and I want to give it another go at some point. I just,
Oh, I think he was the looking at him. I think he was the werewolf, the guy who ran the bar.
oh, okay.
I think. I only saw like the first two seasons of the show,
I think he
and it
was
was a long time ago.
related to what's her name somehow. Um Anna Paquin, was that who was in it?
Yeah, she's in it.
Yeah, so she's Suki Stackhouse in the movie, and
I
he
hate that
plays
name.
Jason Stackhouse. So I'm guessing they're either brothers, or they are brother and sister, or they are husband wife, which once again I've not seen the movie. I don't know show enough. Like, I need to rewatch it at some point. Um that's another day, another thing. But he's been in a few other things, but really that was his big thing. Oh, he was in the Creep Show TV show. Um, so he was in an episode of that. Um, the Amber Valletta, who played Ella, the stepmother. She was in Gamer. Do you remember that movie? Um,
I
Directed
own
by
it. It's not a long time ago, but I don't really remember much
the
from it.
by the guys who did Crank. Um, she was in Hitch.
Love Crank and Crank too.
Yeah, and she was in a bunch of cool stuff like that. Donnie Wahlberg. Uh, yeah, Saw movie, Saw 2 and 3. Then he was also in like Sixth Sense, and he's in Blue Bloods. That's what he's been doing lately. He's on a TV show that's about cops. So apparently he plays cops pretty well, you know.
Yeah,
Um
it's his thing.
yeah, then there's let's see. Michael Fairman played Henry, and
Oh,
he
blimey.
was in Mulholland Drive. And he's been in a bunch of stuff. Good God, look at that. 155 um movies. He was in a bunch of TV. Okay. Um and nobody else, like what, Lisa Regan, or Laura Regan, I'm sorry, played Lisa Ashen, his wife. She was in Mad Men. I don't know for how many episodes, but That's one of her claim to fame was she was in Mad Men. Did you ever watch that show?
No, I want to, but I've not watched it.
Yeah. I tried watching, like, I watched the first episode. I really liked it. Just like, oh man, it's a commitment to just watch these shows. You know. And then of course Lee and this was one of the first ones I've seen that Lee was not acting in it. I mean, who
Yeah,
who would he have played, in this movie? Like, there
yeah, I
really
don't
wasn't
know.
that many characters that he could have played himself. I mean, I guess he could have played the detective if he had wanted to, but I liked having Donnie Wahlberg there because
Yeah,
he had and I don't know if this was like a written thing from Lee or if this was something Donnie did, but the whole shaving himself and things, like him always doing that, like being obsessed with, because at one point he's like, "You're so well shaven, how do you
oh yeah, in the
how do you
mirror,
keep
yeah.
yourself so clean?" And I'm like, "Are you like that obsessed with that?" Like, it's so weird.
It's like his quirk. It's like smoking or drinking or something like that.
Yeah,
I
there are
think they
people
just
like
gave him
like
a
to pick
quirk.
their teeth or
Yeah, they have the toothpick hanging out or something like that.
yeah,
Well,
something.
don't forget the was her name Judith Roberts, the one who played Mary? Yeah,
Ooh, we
Judith
forgot her.
Roberts.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
What else has she done? Hmm.
Her
Mary
first film
Shaw.
was Eraserhead.
Oh, Jesus. She was beautiful
1970.
girl in Eraserhead, the movie with a crying baby
Yes.
that you won't watch again because you don't want to see a crying baby.
No, I'd have to take some
Mutant
Advil
baby.
before.
Beautiful girl across the hall. Um, cool. She was a singer in Stardust Memories, the Woody Allen
Woody
movie.
Allen. Yeah.
She's Mother Superior in Silent Night, Deadly Night.
What?
So, yeah, uncredited, but yeah, she was Mother Superior in Silent Night, Deadly Night
Where are you looking?
under her credits for actress.
Where? IMDb? Where are you looking?
IMDb, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that is not listed on Wikipedia.
Interesting. Maybe because it's uncredited. I don't know.
No, because the woman who played Mother Superior is
Oh, do you want to hear something really interesting? She's in Death Sentence as Judge Shaw. That's funny.
oh really?
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
that's
she's in Death Sentence. Yeah,
as Judge
Mary
Shaw.
Shaw as Judge Shaw. That's funny.
I wonder if her first name was Mary. They had to have done that as like, you know what? Let's put her back. We loved working with her. Let's put her back in. Or they were filmed at this around the same time. Maybe they thought, I don't know. Even though they're completely different movies, you know. Um,
I don't. The Silent Night thing I think is wrong. This is not the actress. Looking at her without makeup on, this is not the actress. The
from
original Silent Night.
Silent Night, Deadly Night. Yeah. Unless there's two of the same name, there could be. I mean, it's possible. She had makeup on though. You can't tell.
Are you saying Silent Night, Deadly Night, or Silent Night, Deadly Night 2?
Number one, the first one.
No, Mother Superior didn't have any makeup on. She had none.
And this? Ah, shit. Ah, can you see that?
Hold on, I'm looking at. I have. Okay, let's see. Uh, yeah, Mother Superior is Lillian, like Chalvayan. Yeah, that's her right there.
Yeah. That's weird.
But she
But then if you look on
is
IMDb, it does say it's her uncredited. So was maybe she a body double or something?
yeah, it's on Wikipedia too, underneath the yeah, Mother Superior uncredited. So yeah, maybe they had to do a reshoot, or maybe she did a stunt or something like that. But yeah, that's she's definitely not the actress.
Yeah, that's weird. Let me see if there's sometimes there's more like I nope. So Judith Roberts' Mother Superior uncredited.
Yeah, when I typed in Judith Roberts Silent Night Deadly Night, like nothing came up.
Um,
Don't knock me down.
Interesting. Judith Roberts. That was her name, Judith Roberts, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that too and see if maybe I get something else. Superior
You
Judith
feeling better?
Roberts.
Are you feeling better?
Oh, your kitty wants to.
Yeah,
Um.
he's right next to me right here. He wants to be pet. Don't go. But if I
Okay,
go to
Judith
give him
Roberts,
kisses, he'll run away.
primarily known as a stage actress, played the role of Mother Superior in Deadly Night. Later, she played the ghost of Mary Shaw. The, this is Headhunter Horror House. So Judith. Uh, I don't know. This is weird. I would like to know more about why. Why? Now I'm all like obsessed with figuring out why Judith Roberts is a is no
Yeah,
said to
maybe they hired her and then let her go and got the other woman, something like that. But there's still footage of her in the movie,
maybe I don't know. That's interesting. I'd have
something
to
like that.
watch. I know I'm gonna eventually get Silent Night Deadly Night from Scream Factory, the Blu-ray or 4K.
I own it. There's a good documentary on it.
Well, I mean, wonder if like some commentary or something like explains that, you know, maybe.
That I
Anyway,
don't remember. I saw it so long ago.
anyway, moving on.
Right,
Um,
right.
we touched that on a bit too much, but it was really nice. She was really good. It's really funny that she got to play Judge Shaw in the next movie they did. The next movie that came out. And
Yeah, I didn't even notice because I watched Dead Silence. No, I watched I think not right before that. I think I watched Death Sentence. So I probably would have noticed that maybe if I watched Dead Silence first and then watched Death Sentence, I would have noticed.
yeah, you've been like, hey, isn't that?
Hey, that's but yeah,
Yeah,
I
because
did not notice.
one she's in makeup, the other she's not, or whatever. She's kind of um, but that's interesting. Um, let's see. Um, oh shit, you can't look up Judge Shaw death sentence on YouTube because there's just a bunch of videos on real people named Judge Shaw giving out death sentences to people.
Oh, geez.
It's it's like, oh shit, I can't find it. So I'd have to probably look up James Wan or horror or not horror, Death Wish or something. I don't know.
Death sentence scenes, court scenes.
Maybe. Um
Just don't put their
Anywho,
name in it.
I'm sure she's the one who, sentences, him to death or whatever. Um
Sentences who to death.
I just use that as an example because I haven't seen the movie. So
Oh, she does not sentence anybody to death, actually.
no. So there's no real death sentence?
The death sentence is what Kevin Bacon does.
So he just puts everybody in and
It's like Death Wish. He's a vigilante. His kid gets killed and he goes out killing the people who did it. So he has in that court scene, he has the opportunity to put like the leader away. or to put,
Yeah.
no, he's not the leader, but he's like one of the gang guys away, and then things kind of start clicking in his head. Like, I want to kill this guy, and so he goes, I have no idea who that person is. I was mistaken.
Ah, okay. So anyway, yeah, so that's death, yeah, or dead silence, you know.
That's honest.
Was there anything else that you wanted to discuss with us? Was there something that you think?
No, no, I think people should give it a second chance, especially if it's, if you can watch it on Tubi or Netflix or something like that, give it a second chance. Or
I mean, it
just give it
is
a
free
first
on
chance.
Tubi, so there shouldn't be any,
Yeah, it's visually beautiful. It's well acted. The well, we didn't talk about the ending with the father who's in the wheelchair.
Mhm.
So where we find out that that he's a puppet.
He's a puppet. Yes, he's a ventriloquist dummy.
You
Yeah.
got to let your reality kind of float out the window for a little bit on that one, because it's, even though it's a cool looking effect with the piece missing out of his back, and then there's like a piece of wood, like a round piece of wood, and she's turning it and going up and down it to
And some of it,
move his
like,
mouth and
when
his,
he eats, it actually does collect the stuff and puts it into a bucket. You
yeah.
know,
So
and
that, for so sorry if we ruined it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but it's been out for
once
such a
again,
long
it's been
time.
out for since
Yeah,
2007. And on top of that, we've already warned you. Like, if you haven't seen the
yeah.
movie, don't listen to us talk about it if you don't want to be spoiled, spoilered.
Yeah.
Um,
So, but it's a cool reveal, even though it's pure fantasy. Like, you can't, it would never happen.
no, it would never happen. It was a
So
cool
really
reveal.
got to let that disbelief go.
I I was a little confused. I'm I didn't at first put together that she was the perfect doll, that and I was like, how is she a doll? She's walking around, she's normal. Like,
Is
what?
she the doll or the dad's the doll?
No, she's also the perfect doll. Is the chick. That's
Oh,
what everybody keeps saying. She was the perfect doll. They were trying to, because remember, they turn the page of the thing and you see you see
yeah,
the
the
picture
perfect
of the
doll.
Girl.
That little scrap piece of
And then,
paper
yeah,
that's
and
taped in there.
it was her. It was the picture of her, the stepmother. So the stepmother was the perfect doll, but that didn't make any
No, I'm confused about that. I was
yeah, I don't think
thinking
it made
that
any
she
sense.
made the perfect doll,
She
which would be
was,
the dad.
because the perfect, yeah, you would think that that would be the thing, but no, because remember, Mary never had any children, right? Because at first I was like, wait, is she related to Mary? Like, was she the a child? No, she had no children, only dolls, which, you know, um,
Yeah.
so, and then that each 101 or whatever it was of those things were her children. So this doll was her child that she made, this human doll.
Excuse me.
And she was trying to make a human doll, you know, and they weren't working out. Like she made that marionette of the boy that harassed, the great uncle, who harassed her at the thing. She made him into a marionette, which is kind of cool. I mean,
Yeah,
it's it's a neat little thing, but she couldn't make like the perfect doll, and then she did make the perfect doll. But it,
but then the perfect doll made a doll.
I guess,
Because
yeah, it
that'd be
made
the
the
dad.
yeah. So she made the
The ending
human
is
doll.
confusing. Yeah, it is a
Yeah,
little
it's a little
confusing.
bit confusing.
Some audio commentary would have been nice on that one.
Also, it's one of those movies that I would love to see the alternate ending. And from what I heard, Lee Winnell hated working on this movie because he had too much uh it was a movie he pitched, I guess, and the studio kind of interfered with, you know, the stuff. So when he started writing, he had to actually write what the sort of the notes that the studio was giving him and everything. And he had a terrible time with that. He just didn't enjoy it. So after that, he had said that he wouldn't he would never pitch anything, he would just write a spec. He would just write specs, which is funny because that's his name in the Conjuring, wait, not
Oh,
Conjuring, Insidious
Insidious.
movies. Yeah,
Oh,
specs.
okay. Yeah,
But
specs. Yeah.
he always writes specs because he doesn't, for people who are not writers or know much about that stuff. A spec script is a script somebody writes for fun, you know. They write the whole script out, and sometimes you can use that as a way to showcase your talent, or sometimes you can get it sold, And I think Insidious was one he sold, as opposed to going to a studio and saying, I would like to make this movie, and stuff. Because usually what happens is a studio says, that's a great idea. But what if this happens? And then the writer goes, oh my God, that sounds terrible. Don't do that. It's like the pitch meeting. The only
Right.
difference between the pitch meeting show and reality is the fact that the pitch meeting guy wouldn't just go, oh, okay, I'll get right off your back about that. He'd usually be like, that's not a great idea. Let's not go there. Let's not do that. Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that's about it. I mean, he didn't like this movie. He was not happy with the way it turned out with the studio interference, and I get it, because I can see where he had some really cool ideas, and it would have been neat if his original vision sort of happened. Because I think that ending got really fucked up by too many people like suggesting ideas. Like, what if she was the perfect doll? He goes, wait, what? Why? How could she be you know, like let's just make that
No, it
a
doesn't, because I would
twist.
say the dad is the perfect doll, because if the dad can fool his own son,
Yeah,
that's the perfect doll.
that should be the perfect doll, but it was
And
not. It
and
was
the
not the one.
the Henry's wife said that the dad came and picked up the doll.
No.
It wasn't like the stepmom. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe that was kind of like uh the original Nightmare on Elm Street. That ending was like three endings, like three different people
That
had three
is
different
true. She
endings.
did say that. So that's very confusing. Because the lady said, oh, the dad picked it up. He was like, my dad hasn't gotten out of the wheelchair in forever, right? And stuff like, or whatever. He's been in a wheelchair, you know. So the doll itself did that because like the stepmother wasn't there. She would have
Well,
said your stepmother and your father came, wouldn't
well,
she have?
no, one of two things maybe. Pardon me, it's so dry in here. Uh, Either it had a different ending, and they just went, "Screw it, she's nuts," so we'll just leave it in, or they threw it in just to throw people off.
I think they threw it in to throw the people off, would be my guess. This whole movie, I mean, it had a twist, like it was really playing on that 2007 thing that was really big back then was like the idea of like M. Night Shyamalan's, twist stuff. We have to have twists for everything. We can't let the audience know, it can't be simple,
But
and
see, but that's the reveal, is the dad. The dad
right.
is the reveal. That's the twist, is the dad's been dead all the time and he is a doll. And that's when we get our Saw ending, where we get the music
But
going
then
dun
who's
dun
the
dun
chick?
dun dun
Who's the
dun.
stepmom? Because she's controlling him when she's eating. She's controlling him the whole time. She has to be related to Mary if they end it that way, then. Like with him being the perfect doll, and she would have had to make the doll because a ghost can't make a doll.
So I guess just Mary possessed the stepmom.
I guess. I don't know. I don't know. This movie, I can see why
Because
it
they
did
they give
poorly in the
you,
box office.
that ending is, yeah, is very confusing, and they do give you a Saw ending. It's got that whole thing where it reverses back, and then we see how it all happens,
Hmm.
and we got the Saw music playing. So they couldn't get away from that,
Right.
but
Maybe that was another thing the studio wanted. Some more backstory, some more extra stuff. I don't know. I don't know.
it makes sense all the way up to, that even the reveal I would accept.
Like you would be okay with the dad being a ventriloquist dummy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But you wouldn't be
I
okay with the ghosts, the mom coming and
No, that
you
seemed to be a
know,
little. I know it's before its time, but a little kind of Paranormal Activity type ending. But
yeah.
it doesn't make a lot of sense at all, because then
Actually,
there's.
not before its time. Wasn't Paranormal Activity 2007?
Oh, was it before this or around the same time?
Yeah, it was around the same time.
Oh, okay. But I none of it makes sense to why the stepmom would even make the guy into a doll, unless she was following what Mary was doing,
Hmm.
like she was continuing that, or money, like because she was young and he was old, she wanted all of his money or
Right.
something like that, so she kept him alive for some reason as a puppet, something like that.
But then it wouldn't have anything to do with Mary, and stuff, and it would just be weird. It would just be a weird ending, because like the whole idea is it had to tie into the whole Mary Shaw shit that was going on,
Well, that's
you
probably
know.
why Lee doesn't like it a lot, because that, it's very it makes sense all the way up to the reveal.
All right, well, we're at that time where we're gonna do a little bit of a rating. We're gonna do our rating for it. Unless there more that you wanted to discuss with it?
No, we just haven't talked about the ending with the dad. So
I think
yeah,
we talked it. I mean, I don't think there's
so I
anything
think we're done.
more that needs to be really said.
No.
Um, I'm just gonna tell you, I give it 3 stars. Like it was okay. It had some great visuals. It wasn't James Wan's best, thing. Once again, I can sort of see why it didn't do very well in the box office, and I can see why Lee's not very proud of the movie, but it's
Well,
not.
maybe YouTube, if you want to look that up. I mean, it's got that the DVD's got that alternate beginning and ending, so maybe that would tell us the actual ending of the movie that maybe test audiences didn't like because it made sense.
Because we don't like this. It makes total sense.
Yeah,
Let me see if it does have that Dead Silence alternate ending.
because I was a little confused. I got when he was looking through the book, like the album, and he pulls back that little piece of paper that says the perfect doll, and it's her, which could have been a reshoot, but and it's her. I didn't understand it. So I kind of took it as she created the perfect doll, and that was the dad. That's how
Right.
I kind of saw it.
Okay, so the alternate ending does have the whole uh the whole puppet thing of the dad being a puppet and all that flashback of that and stuff. Let me see where it's different. Oh, there's some more stuff with the dad in there and him actually murdering the stepmom. There's some shit that happens that has nothing to that was not in the not in our ending.
So
So
okay, so what I'll do, I mean, if you can find stuff on YouTube, great. If not, I'll watch all that stuff. So maybe we can get an answer, and
on
then
the next
on
movie,
the next film, we'll start with Dead Silence, and then we'll move into to what that
Megan.
video is. Yeah,
Megan is
Megan.
gonna
Yeah,
be
got
next. All
lots,
right.
got
So
lots to say about Megan.
what's your rating?
I'm just getting 3.5.
3.5?
Yeah, I was gonna say 4, but now talking about the ending, it confuses me even more.
That was my thing. I was actually gonna say 4 because up well I was gonna say 4 when I was watching it because I was like, this is actually really good. This isn't one of his best, but this is, I don't see why. And then I see the ending, I'm like, oh, okay. That killed it for me, man. That ending sort of just ruined. And well, they say when you make a movie, the first 10 pages and the last 10 pages are the most important, right? Because that's the first thing people see, so the first 10 pages or 10 minutes or whatever, people are going to watch your movie and they're going to decide whether or not they want to stick with you. And these days, there are many reasons to just turn off a movie and just watch something else. Just, like we have so
Right.
much, so many options now. Um, then the next thing is you take the last 10 pages, last 10 minutes are what everybody's going to remember about your movie, whether or not it's, so if they watch it all the way to the end, they're going to go, I re, you know, um but then again, I could be bored in the middle of the movie, so even all of the pages should be pretty damn good. So I could leave at the middle of a movie and be like, yeah, I'm not interested anymore. But I guess when you're in a theater, you have two, two things. You're gonna remember the beginning, so you're either gonna walk out or you're gonna stay, or you're gonna, you know, finish it to
Well, I
the
mean,
end.
we've been talking about Jaws, so the beginning of Jaws, everybody remembers that, and the ending of Jaws where the shark explodes.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody walked out in the beginning of the movie because, I mean, I love that opening. The getting his arm ripped off was so bad, but was so so awesome at that time. I enjoyed that. The
Wait,
shark
who's
exploding was silly, but you know, like and roaring, rawr, you know.
not in Jaws? It never roared in Jaws. Only Jaws the
And that's what
Revenge.
I'm saying. Jaws of Revenge. That's what I'm talking about. Jaws of Revenge.
Oh, I'm talking about Jaws. I don't.
Oh,
We don't
yeah.
need to
Well,
discuss Jaws the Revenge. Talk about the good one.
I
As
thought
much as
you I thought you were pointing
I
out
love
people want
Jaws
to
the Revenge.
leave, but want to leave a movie. Nobody wants to leave Jaws. Because Jaws did have like, yeah.
No, the beginning of Jaws the Revenge is horrible. It's absolutely hideous.
I love
It's
his arm getting ripped off, and then he's like for a second, then he looks down, goes,
I there's a TV version of it which has different credits and they talk about voodoo and there's all this type of stuff. It's a very different opening for television and that stuff's on YouTube. And Sean, who's the son, who's now a cop, which I think is kind of ridiculous. I could never figure out if he was gay or not. Like is his character meant to be gay? Because they've
maybe.
certainly got an actor who acted like he was, and so I just found that to be a little confusing. And yeah, just that whole thing of the shark setting him up and was stupid. And then yeah, it roaring was hilarious. And then there's two different versions of it blowing up.
Yeah, when he blew up because when you stick a shark with a boat, it just blows up without anything in there to make it blow up. It just blows up, you know.
Yeah, and then Mario Van Peebles lives too.
Yeah, and he lived too, which nowadays
It's
pissing
it
me off, but back then I was like, hey, he's alive.
yeah, when he clearly died. So
Yeah.
that was yeah. So that's I would love for them to bring out like a special edition of that. But yeah, I mean, I'm talking the original Jaws. Everybody remembers the beginning with the girl being killed, and then everybody
And then
remembers
everybody
the shark
remembers the ending,
exploding.
the shark
Yeah,
exploding at the end.
yeah.
Smile, you son of a. I
Well, bitch, son of a bitch.
don't think he says it. He doesn't
He
actually say
does.
it.
I said for decades, smile, you son of a boom. And then when it came out on Blu-ray, it's smile, you
Maybe
son of
they
a
put that
bitch.
back in. I don't
It
know.
was it was the TV version is where he says smile, you son of a. I mean, I think that's probably what most people know.
Okay.
But he does say smile, you son of a bitch.
All right.
I
Well,
was
there
very
you go.
surprised about that. I was like, oh my God, he actually says it.
That's what everybody remembers, everybody's been saying that for years, so I mean, ugh, can't be can't
But there
be
you go.
can't be wrong. Anyway, so yes, that's Dead Silence, everybody. I know we talked about million other things. And John went and got a package to, got a little
Gift
gift
card.
card, so
Yes.
this was a very interesting episode,
it it's sometimes with these it's difficult because it's easier to point out the flaws. Something like
and
this,
doesn't
it
really
was,
have that many flaws, no.
yeah, I mean,
But
except for
but
the
you but
ending.
really you're just praising the movie most of the time,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, it's well directed, it was well shot, it was well edited, it was well written, I mean, its locations were awesome. The
Mm-hmm.
abandoned theater was awesome, the abandoned town was awesome. So it's like you don't really have a lot to say. It's not negative. It's easier to be negative, like we just did with Jaws the Revenge. I could spend probably a good hour just ripping on Jaws the Revenge.
I
But
think you've done a whole video on it, for
yeah, it was
Shark
one of the
Attack
first
Sunday.
videos I did with you. Yeah,
Yeah,
was
that
Jaws the
was the
Revenge.
where you did it by yourself too, and that was really cool. I
Yeah, and,
wanna
and I used my water bottle as the shark, and as I moved it around. Yeah. But Megan is going to be fun to look into because now that I've watched the extended, that unrated version of it, so that's going to be fun to talk about.
yeah, for sure. So next is Megan, but we'll also talk a little bit about the
Dead silence. Yeah,
Dead Silence alternate ending, you know. Um
yeah.
and then maybe we'll tie that up, but since we should have probably done a little bit more stuff, but I don't know. I was looking at the alternate, well, not the ending explained, and that was because I was a bit confused as to who, like, how can a
I
human chick do all this stuff? Still
I have
very
found that
confused.
those endings explained don't explain the ending. They just summarize the movie.
Yeah, kind of. That was kind of what happened. He kind of just
So I
explained
stopped
the whole
watching it.
movie.
Yeah, I used to watch
Yeah,
those because I'd be like, "Wait a minute, this is confusing. Why did it end this way? Oh, look, there's something that will explain it." Nope, they just summarized the movie.
just like summarized the movie and then told us exactly what happened. And I'm like, wait, you didn't even go into the. You know what? We should do our own endings explain, actually explain it so people will watch our videos and stuff, you know. But
Well,
the
hopefully
thing
next week
is,
there'll
I
be some
mean,
more
we're
explanation.
really either we're thinking about it too deeply, or whatever, or I mean, we're like something's, like because we might not know the real reason, the real like story behind the ending or why, you know what I mean? Like
Well, hopefully
we,
the special features will say something. I mean, you got to give it like Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 5. At the end, we find out that the kid is Pinocchio, that he's like a big wooden boy,
mhm.
and that Peto, which is not the best name to give the guy, made him. And but you kind of get that, okay, well, he's a toy
Wait,
maker.
his name is Peto, which is obviously Geppetto, but
Yeah,
like he's Peto. Yeah, that's not
yeah,
good to give a guy that's created a young boy, you
boy,
know.
yeah. I don't think they thought about that,
I yeah,
but
they didn't think that
reviews
through,
later
but
on pointed that out. But it makes more sense if you're a toy maker, you're making toys, you're making dolls, you're making, all that type of stuff. And then at the end, there's the reveal that he's just a giant wooden toy.
nice.
In this, there's no reason for the stepmom to do it. There's no backstory. We What I got was that the guy was old and married young, and she wanted money.
Yep. But she was very
So,
nice. She seemed very sweet. But he even showed her like that she's gonna be she's gonna leave him or something some way or another because
well, yeah, he said that the dad paints you out of the picture.
yeah,
So, like, I
literally.
get, yeah, like the dad, like the photo, the painting had the first mom missing,
Yep, and the second mom
and then
missing and then yeah.
he's like, soon enough you'll be painted out of the picture too. And it was like literally, yeah, like just a
That's kind
it
of a
was
cool thing though. That would be a cool idea for a movie. Like the person draws, makes these paintings of all these people, and then when
Stop.
you
Don't stop. Stop. Stop.
but actual stop. Okay. Zoom recording. Anyway, so
Okay.
yes, so we're gonna finish this up. Thank you guys so much for checking this out. Join us next week. We're gonna be talking about another doll. He
Yes.
really does have a thing for dolls. I never really thought about it, but like, yeah, Saul had a little doll.
Yeah.
Um, Dead Silence, obviously, a little doll. Then
Lots of
there's
those.
Annabelle, there's
Annabelle, Megan.
Megan. Is there anything else I'm missing?
Any other dolls we're not thinking of?
I don't know.
Uh,
I don't know. All I know is if you want to work with James Wan, just come up with the Killer Doll movie, and
there
he'll
you
be like,
go.
I love it. Let's do it.
Let's
Malignant
do
wasn't
this
about a
thing.
doll, but it's about the only one. Anywho, thank you guys for checking this out. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Join us next week. Until then, bye everybody.
Bye.